Hello there, welcome to this beautiful week, last day of October. My name is Gerald Cabrera. I'm joined by Herman Manyora, political analyst, commentator, and strategist. How are you doing today?
Good.
We are streaming into November. The year is coming to an end.
So fast.
Your thoughts? How's the year been? It was so hyped.
Wonderful year. Kenyans have been wonderful people. We went through an election. Many people thought it would bring us down. We are up and standing, and we are managing our situation very well.
Heading into November, heading into December.
Christmas, New Year. Wonderful.
Conversation over the weekend, starting Sunday actually, was Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, President William Ruto, went to Kennel apologizing, each for different reasons. Rigathi apologizing that Ruto was mistreated there. Ruto apologizing that his government didn't do justice to his team, saying they hired some stupid people. He termed them that, together with Uhuru Kenyatta. What are your thoughts? Because on Saturday, also relating to the same conversation, was Ruto should fear Raila if he continues with this trajectory of going back and still posing on people that they are now in control.
My honest assessment of this government, of President Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua, is that they don't seem to be aware they are in charge. And it's not uncommon. Even in America, some presidents take over and take quite a while for them to know they're in charge.
Yeah.
The most dramatic was Bush Sr. Having deputized Reagan for 10 years. People would call him Mr. President and you'd be looking back for the president.
Oh.
Until they kept pushing him. It's called the pimp factor.
Okay.
So I think these two are yet to come to terms with the fact that they are actually in charge of government.
You think it's that? Because some would argue they're in a place where they're even boasting that they are in charge of government. Do you think it's that, or they are not aware yet?
They don't know they're in government. They are still learning that they're in government. Because to be president means you are in charge.
Okay.
Period. The first thing you must do is to put elections behind you. Because by its own nature, an election is divisive. Elections are divisive. They divide people. So the first task of a victor is to unite the country. First task. You cannot undertake that task of uniting the country after an election, especially a bitterly fought election like ours. If you keep referring to the election, to your competitors, in the manner you used to refer to them during the election.
Okay.
So to what extent are you in charge? An election that is closely fought by the figures themselves. If you have 7.2 million, another guy has 6.9, you are basically tying. You're basically the same. You control half, the other person controls half. In an election that went to Supreme Court, in an election that many people believe was stolen. I mean, believing the election was stolen doesn't mean the election was stolen. But people in this country, in their millions, believe the election was stolen. People in this country are hurting. And I've said it repeatedly. So that first task of uniting the country, Ruto and Rigathi have failed. And they continue to fail miserably.
Just on Sunday, Rigathi said, Mzee, the Kina Raila, saying that they have no business working together. What is your take on winner takes it all, and the conversation that was there with BBI that even if you've won, there still needs to be room for the other side? What's your thoughts on that?
This is a country that is divided along tribal lines. And from 1992, when the multi-party came back, we have been trying to work around that problem. BBI was almost the ultimate to sort it out. Now, from 2007, when we almost lost it, when this country almost went down, and we thought we needed to re-engineer our politics. And I've said this before. And we thought by giving ourselves certain institutions through this constitution, we will never go back to those days of tribe and being divided and bad politics. It is now clear to many people that that experiment didn't work. It's aborted. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say we are at a stage where in this country many people will push for change in the manner they pushed before 1992, that brought in multipartyism for 1990, before the repeal of Section 2A, and before 2010.
Yeah.
People are going to the factory setting because it's like the institutions we thought could help us navigate democratically around certain corners have failed us. People believe so. You've heard Raila talk about the Supreme Court, IBC, all this, according to them, have failed.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? And this is what I was saying on Saturday. I was saying, and I want to repeat here, that it is most likely people like Raila will re-engineer their politics. And they are likely to go back to the tactics they used in the struggle for democratic government and good
Even during the times of multiparty.
Yes, that's where they are likely to go. So Rigathi and Ruto, I'm only helping them because they are being naive. I'm sorry to use that word. Because when Section 2A was abolished and we allowed for multipartyism again, people thought through that engagement of multipartyism, they could get power. They almost got it in 2002. I'm using the word almost. Carefully, but consciously. And it quickly turned out it was not working. And that gave us the referendum of 2005 and the momentum of ODM, Orange Democratic Movement. And the 2007 that almost gave now Raila the power in the way people had hoped that through multipartyism, people could get power away from the establishment, the retrogressive force, because government was retrogressive. You see that now, 2007 there. It aborted. We didn't go down because we went back to the table and had a coalition government. We thought we could do it together. We tried to get a constitution in 2010. It gave hope again that, yes, we can maneuver these things democratically through our institutions that we created. At this point, there are many people who believe that has aborted, that those institutions cannot help us get what we wanted to get. So that's why I'm saying people like Raila will go back to factory setting. And I want to repeat this because it is important for Ruto and Rigathi to hear this and their followers. If the Railas go back to the factory setting of the Moi era before the repeal of Section 2A, and they employ the same tactics, and you don't have the power of office which Moi had, because there was even detention without trial. The world then was different. You can't do the things Moi was doing. Now you can't do them. To protect your presidency. So if they come to you, they descend on you with those tactics and you are William Ruto and settle, you'll just go home. It's not even a difficult thing. I don't know why they are not seeing it. And as a Kenyan, I want them to see it. I want them to know living state house is not a big problem. The tactics Raila's used, because Kina Ruto are still young people. They have never been there. They have never been in the trenches.
Do you honestly think that we're in that place where we're not as democratic as we should be? Are we getting back to that place of the Moi era?
Not necessarily so. Systems? I'm trying to point out something. We got something wrong from 1963. That's a long history. I'm doing it in a documentary. I want to begin a documentary soon. I'm collecting information. We got it wrong from 1963. People like Raila's father, Jaramogi, and Bedar Kagia and the rest, thought the independence was to serve the people who had suffered, to give them land. But others, people like Kenyatta, had other ideas. They wanted to grab everything for themselves. So they messed the politics to allow them to do primitive accumulation of wealth. You have to mess politics, to Kikuyunize it. So the struggle was always to remove Kenya from that path, so that Kenya becomes a progressive, politically correct country where things can move and people can enjoy the benefits of independence, the fruits of independence, of what is plentiful within the borders, as the national anthem says. So that was the politics. You had to struggle against Moi. And it brought multipartyism from 1990 there, by repeal of Section 2A, which had made Kenya one-party state by law. So the Section 2A was removed. So that struggle achieved that. But if people hoped through that they will get government that is progressive, they were disappointed. Because there are relics, residues of the issue that brought us down.
Yeah.
in the 1960s. Now, in 2007, we almost lost the country. So what did we do? We came up with a new constitution, with the new institutions, beginning with the coalition accord that created a coalition government with Raila as prime minister, Kibaki as president, then the constitution. People placed their hope in the new constitution. With the new institutions, a new police force, a new judiciary after vetting, you know, the Supreme Court,
Yeah.
IBC. You know, people are so optimistic.
Yeah.
And they thought you could deliver this country from bondage through those institutions. What I'm telling Ruto and Rigathi today, and they had better listen to Manyora. Many Kenyans have come to the conclusion that thing has aborted.
Okay.
It is a false start. So they have to go back to factory setting. And that's what Raila seems to be indicating. But they're not getting it. And I'm warning them. If people like Raila were to go back to the factory setting of the 1980s and 90s, Ruto cannot be in State House. He'll go home.
No, Raila said, he was speaking in Tulu, and he said he's going to drop a bombshell.
Yes. I know it.
Could this be the bombshell?
Rigathi and Ruto don't know. What they don't know, and I heard Moi say it, and I must say here, kukaa hii State House ulale wakati wajaluo wanapiga kelele town hii.
Yeah.
Sio is the way Ruto thinks and Rigathi. Let me tell Rigathi and Ruto. If demonstrations begin in this country, and I hope they don't begin, because I know what they do to our country. If people begin doing what people were doing when they were fighting for multipartyism, the days of Fungamano House, I don't know where Ruto was at that time.
Yeah.
He thinks he's immune. If those things start now, you don't need more than 50,000 people to mess Nairobi town.
What should Ruto do now? Remember he said...
I have said it.
He tried to reach out to Kalonzo. Kalonzo said he's safe in opposition.
That is very sarcastic. They are saying it in a very bad way, contemptuous way. They should know they are a president. They are governing now. They must walk out of elections by taming the words they say, taming their lieutenants. You are in charge. You are the president. You have no competition in being the president. You are the president of the country. Forget about elections. Forget about Kuzimia. No, you govern the country. So that even if Raila wakajaribu kitu, Kenyans can tell them off. Secondly, because I hadn't gone there, they must address the issues that affect Kenyans. Because so long as the cost of living remains what it is, the state of unemployment remains what it is, everything remains in a mess, and the Raila begin to agitate for change, well, you will go away. This is the point I'm trying to make. And I'm not making this point because of anything. I'm just making, like I say, I love my country. I want Ruto to succeed. Because the success of President Ruto is the success of Kenyans and is my success.
Do you believe...
It means my children will live in a good country and my grandchildren will find a good country if the president succeeds. And the president must succeed. And in order to do that, first, I have to repeat, Ruto and Gachagua must know they are the ones in charge now. They must stop talking as if they are in an election. And they must deliver to the people of Kenyans without waiting for 1 year.
Do you think it will happen in this current regime, a change, Ruto being kicked out of State
Of course,
House?
why not? Why
will
not?
It happen?
Why not? Let me tell you, my friend. I invite people who are close to Ruto. Because Ruto is a very intelligent man. And very shrewd. I invite him and his people, and Gachagua, to spare a moment and think about the struggles of the 1980s and 1990s. I want them to spare a moment. I just think about them. Think about how bold Matiba, Orengo were to face Moi of those days. Think about Sabasaba, of men and women who risked everything to go to Kamkunji. At a time the police could shoot without fearing. Let them think about that and let them know if the cost of living remains where it is, if you have disgruntled people, if people who believe you stole their elections are also hungry, and you remind them through your language, you continue increasing their pain, and the Railas go back to that factory setting, my friend, it will be very difficult for them. And I don't want that to happen, because it doesn't help anybody. When a country goes in that direction, everybody loses. There are no victors. There are no winners. Because it does not matter what happened after that. everybody will lose something.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody loses something. And the most important thing then, it takes quite a long time for the country to find its bearing. No country should allow itself to go there. No, just because you want to be careless in your talk. Watch your tongue. Know you are the president. Know you are the deputy president. Talk knowing you are the president of the Republic of Kenya. Umekula Biblia.
Good place to wrap up. Something to ponder upon. Till we do talk again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.